All right. So currently we were about talking about objections of perceptual user interfaces. And there are also obstacles here that the perceptual user interfaces has to overcome. One of them is technological obstacles, and it says the easy one because it's really easy is the easy one because some of these things we talked about, the components of perceptual user interfaces are already solved, like speech recognition, speech synthesis, and we are really good at also tracking. The computer vision algorithms have developed also really nicely, and in recent years we have really accurate tracking of uh, human body poses or gestures can be tracked. Here, the other obstacle here, the marketplace, whether such applications are going to be commercially successful and widely accepted by the consumer market is a difficult question. If you don't do the things in the right way, correctly, you may it may be difficult to predict whether they're going to be successful or not. So there is a growing convergence of hardware and software advances, developments in those, and there is also commercial interest in like biometrics, authentication of people by using different modalities. There are also applications in accessibility, visual for visually impaired people or other hearing impaired people. The recognition, speech recognition technologies are developed very nicely, and virtual reality it became really a hype with Oculus Rift being able to track head movements very accurately, and then other companies caught up with it, like HTC, and the other headsets are also available. Microsoft came into the market with HoloLens, so all these things make the technology develop really nicely. The marketplace accepted some of these things already, but developing uh, combining technology with the actual needs and using the correct modality in the correct for the correct function is very important. Just because we have the technology, we shouldn't just put everything together in a big soup and present it to the user. Here, use it like this. It will not work like that. It's if the really in terms of functionality, if we really need these things, and if such perceptual interfaces is going to make human life really easier, then I think it will be accepted by the consumer market too. We are not quite there yet. So here are variable. So this is an example of a variable person wearing lots of variable interfaces, uh, a display like a augmented display on the glass, some measurements, some sensors, and the wrist, other things, and there's a huge computing power at the backpack. So, and in here is really like this person looks like a normal being, right? I mean, not wearing any wearable computers. So they're really visible, invisible. They're ubiquitous, part of the uh, apparel. That's part of his jacket. So uh, here, the author here is wearing a variety of new devices. The glasses, built by Micro Optical Boston, contain a computer display nearly invisible to others. So this was in 2000, before Google Glass, but the ideas, as you can see, is here. Or Microsoft HoloLens. It's much better than Microsoft HoloLens. As you can see, it's very lightweight. But I think the technology I mean, it doesn't provide really nice, good graphics, probably. The jacket has a keyboard literally embroidered into the cloth. So there's a keyboard that you can just tap on your jacket arm and you can type some keywords. So there's some virtual keyboard embedded in the jacket. The label has a context sensor that classifies the user's surrounding, whether the user is outside, in the office, and of course, there's a computer not visible in this photograph. So vision-based interfaces, they you make use of the information, the camera information channel to track users to provide interaction basically with users. And as I said, vision-based interfaces has found a use in entertainment in games. So with Microsoft Kinect, for example, and there's also PlayStation Play. There's PlayStation also has a an application for this. Like, what was the name? Dance game. Dance. What was the name of the game PlayStation had? Something dancing, about dancing. So it basically recognizes body movements, and you see it gives you feedback whether you make the dance moves correctly or not. So, and you can play two-player based. You get scores as you make those dance moves correctly. Yeah, Just Dance. It was the name was Just Dance. Thank you, Doa. Yeah, and it uses basically a vision-based. It's an example of a vision-based interface where your body movements are tracked. And vision can provide other clues. I mean, the functional use of a camera, a vision-based interface has multitude of uses, like whether a user is present in the room or not, or in front of the computer, the location of the user within the room, the identity. So we can use vision, the camera, to authenticate the user. Or when I say identity, we may not identify whether it's a specific person, but we can identify that person's age, gender, nationality, facial expression could be tracked by a vision-based interface, body language, attention, where the user is looking, which part of the screen the user is looking at. And we can use our gestures for control and communication with the system. So vision really provides lots of additional information that you can tap in and put into and part of an interface. Lip movement activity. So a vision-based interface using computer vision techniques can generate all these uses by just using one or two cameras or different types of cameras. So here are some elements of a vision-based interface. There are obviously hand tracking hands accurately in real time, fast, and identifying different hand gestures. There are many difficulties in vision-based interfaces. For example, there's occlusion, objects hiding other objects that are in the background, tracking the whole bodies, activity analysis. Um, so, like for example, giving feedback. If you can have an intelligent fitness trainer, an AI, an artificial intelligence fitness instructor that tells you whether you're doing the movements correctly or not. I mean, also, for example, when you're playing an instrument, if you can track your body and hand accurately, if such a device, it can also tell you whether your posture is correct when you're playing the piano, your fingerings are correct. These days, for example, I'm using one of those piano tutorial applications, Simple Piano, which just gets the feedback in terms of the sound that the keys that you press. Okay, it doesn't tell, for example, have a vision-based interface which tracks whether I put my fingers correctly on the keyboard. If I took this piano lessons from a real tutor, he or she will also going to tell me, oh, you're placing your fingers incorrectly. They have to be more, for example, round. You have to be more relaxed. Your wrist is wrong. Your wrist should be like this flat. So things like that, for example, these applications cannot provide. Also, when you're doing fitness activities like yoga, Pilates, and a vision-based interface will help you to give feedback whether you are doing those activities correctly or not. So body tracking, activity analysis, these are really good, important parts of a vision-based interface. There's head tracking, gaze tracking, lip reading, face recognition, facial expression, understanding whether this person is frustrating, smiling, angry. So vision-based interfaces provide lots of these things. And there are many application areas in accessibility, hands-free computing, game input. Yeah, just like that example, Just Dance, game input, social interfaces, conferencing, improved speech recognition, user-aware applications, intelligent environments, biometrics, authenticating users, and movement analysis. Yeah, in medicine and sports, also this gait analysis, whether you're walking with your back straight or not. Certain diseases can be identified by how a person is walking. So this movement analysis actually it will help also in the health domain. And MIT Media Lab was one of the research labs that developed many technologies in terms of vision-based interfaces in the 1990s, and they still do that. For example, they have new interfaces and tangible interfaces, for example, but their main focus in 1990s was the vision-based interfaces. Here are some snapshots from their applications. This one is called the lower left one is called Kids Room. It's like a story environment, interactive story environment where the kids immerse in a story by body tracking. They really feel they're part of the story. It's highly interactive. There are large screens that are around. So that's the kids room, and this one is virtual aero instructor. So this is like a fitness instructor. So this is uh, gesture based ping pong playing, for example. So there are different applications that have here. I think this is about eigenfaces. So this is the eigenfaces uh, figure that shows how face tracking or face recognition could be accomplished by taking just like a Fourier transform applied on a sound waveform. When you apply a similar kind of a transformation to images, you can get different frequencies, different levels of detail from the face, and use these eigenvalues, the eigenfaces, to do that. Oh, so there is a nice comment from Doa in PS4. I didn't know this game before. Knowledge is Power game. Uh, yeah, so it's played with users' cell phones. I think it's like a maybe social. It's maybe a social game. So if you're allowed to use, but oh, if you play with your cell phone, if it uses the sensors on the cell phone, like this gyroscope, then uh, it may be like it may get into the area of ubiquitous computing or internet of things where multiple devices from different areas, some generic devices, interact with each other within an application. So it may be considered a special category, right? So it's Bluetooth connected. So it's I think it may be considered like a part of ubiquitous computing or internet of things where uh, all the digital devices around you could be put together in the same application and make be use of those as the interface. So I think all these wireless networking, Bluetooth around us, it enabled any small device with these networking capabilities may be alive in this network digital world. So I think it goes into the area of Internet of Things. So this is a camera mounted on the desktop. Yeah, it's probably IoT. So and this on this desktop, if you look at this camera, it tracks the head movements, and in this application, the perceptual window with the head movements, for example, it does automatic scrolling of whatever you're reading. For example, when you're reading something, if you do this, it automatically gets to the next page, or if you do that, it may scroll down. So head is used as a non-dominant stream here, but the head tracking is used in an application to get a better user experience. And these are some other images from the kids room, a view from the kids room showing two projection screens, and there's a movable bed, a bed with some wheels underneath. This bed sometimes can be used as a boat. As you can see, the kids are rowing their boat in a on a river. A child and mother rowing the boat together. Rowing was detected using story context and motion energy. So the faster they row, the faster they go in this river, for example. So this again, it's a vision-based interface for which can be used for education and also for entertainment. And in terms of the technology of vision-based interfaces, we have to have different algorithms for tracking the face, lips, gaze, where the user is looking at, focus of attention, and tracking the whole bodies is also a different problem. Person tracking, especially in a crowded environment. If you're in a crowded environment, how can you track people effectively, efficiently, and combining audio with these other information? So I'm going to show you some examples about this tracking of faces, gaze tracking. I have some videos, and there are different techniques. We're not going to go into technical details of how this can be done, but if you're interested, there are libraries like OpenCV, which some of these algorithms are already implemented. OpenCV is available in C++, Python. So when you click on, when you search OpenCV, this is their home. Forum, courses, services, library. So if you go to the OpenCV library, so how can I get rid of this ad? Yeah, library platforms releases, OpenCV 4.1. So let's go take a look at the docs. So there are different main modules, extra modules. If I say tracking, silhouette-based 3D object tracking. So tracking. So there are some. Look at these modules. They have many. Let me zoom in a little bit. There have many modules that you can use to perform tracking. There is a tracking API. If you click on this, tracking is an important issue for many computer vision applications in real world. So very fragmented. So this is actually a place where several different trackers are implemented and compared. Only two of them are available, I think. This kernelized correlation filter. I don't know the details of these things, but if you, I think it's a color-based tracking. So detailed description. So it's an implementation of a paper, I think. This kernelized correlation filter is a novel tracking framework that utilizes properties of circulant matrix to enhance the processing speed. The tracking methods is an implementation of this paper, which is extended to KCF with color names features. The original paper is available here. So it's an implementation of 2015 paper. But this area, vision-based problems and computer vision area, this is really a huge area by itself, and there are whole semester courses. So it's not. So if you take a look at this, so it's the proceedings of the European Conference on Computer Vision. So this ECCV is one of the top conferences, like CVPR or PAMI. So there are different conferences. So here is the OpenCV may have implementation of these different algorithms. Okay, so if you're interested in implementing some of the techniques here, you may take a look at this. There's face analysis for face emotion, maybe, and finding. I haven't used. I think I used it only once to prepare some demo application, but yeah, I think these main modules will have lots of things to get you started if you want to have a vision-based interface. So for color-based tracking, for example, if you're going to track human face may have a certain characterized color and may cluster together in the RGB color space. So this is the three-dimensional RGB color space and shows how the pixels on a human face fall in on the RGB color space. And this distribution can be characterized by some Gaussian model. And by using this with a color model, we can identify, by just using the red and green components, this is what it's doing. It can very fast track where the human head is in real time. So face tracking can be done fairly accurately these days, but there are still challenges. So this person is sitting in front of the computer. Whether can we track faces in a crowded environment where the video quality is not that much? If this person is far away, will we be able to still track him and things like that? And if they're in a big conference meeting room, being able to track faces and gaze and focus of attention can still be challenging. In meetings, tracking gaze and focus of attention may help to determine the addressee of a speech, to track the participants' attention, to analyze who was in the center of focus. And it may also be good for meeting indexing and retrieval, which means that you may annotate the whole meeting saying that now this person is talking and now this person is doing something, or for example, it's this person's turn to talk, or is this person asked a question and this person answered. If the vision-based interface is able to do this annotation of the whole meeting, then you can make queries on the meeting saying that I want to go to the place in this video where this person asked the question and this person answered, type of queries of this annotation. We can use this tracking gaze also in interactive rooms, and other applications are also possible. And head pose estimation is the tracking basically the 6 degree of freedom of the head, and again it may help in different applications. And computing this from a 2D to 3D correspondences, there are lots of paper. There are some example-based approaches. Model-based pose estimation, we may have a three-dimensional model of the human head. It's nice to have such a reference model, and after you've tracked certain features on the human face, like the eyes, ends of the lips, the tip of the nose, sides of the noses, for example, by using these, you can, and by using a reference 3D model, you can estimate the 6 degree of freedom, how the head is rotated, where is its position, its translation. So it's the position of the head in the real world and its orientation could be found accurately. So this head tracking demo, this is actually Rogerio Ferris. He was one of the students of Matthew Turk. He was just in our neighboring lab when I was doing my PhD. So he developed this application for head tracking, and I have a video for Rogerio. Well, we cannot view it. Maybe I can play it with VLC player. Open with. I think should work. Yeah. Wow. Where is it? Why did it go there? Close window. Let me try it again. Wow, interestingly, let me stop sharing my screen for a moment. Wow. Yeah, I think okay. I think there's a bug and also in VLC player, or maybe this is something WebEx is doing. But anyway, let me share my screen again. Well, so you have found the video on YouTube as well. Let me see. Let me open the chat box.
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work. Stay on top of emails.
Copy this on my YouTube account so we don't have any.
Hello and welcome back everyone.
Yes.
In this video,
So this is about portraits. So this is some other application. So let me try to have this video here. And this VLC. Let me open up VLC. Yeah, I think this time I will be able to do that. Well, look at this. This resolution is too big. Now, when I say open this with VLC Player, yeah, it's not working. So this is this head tracker video. So I'm still recording. Perfect. So as you can see, it's really robust when it's occluded, when the face is occluded by hand. After occlusion ends, it can continue tracking where it's left off. And as you can see, the gaze is also tracked nicely. If you look at this line segment coming from the tip of the nose, you see it nicely shows where the person is looking at. Okay, and this is, I think, a real-time video. Okay, such an application will help us do real-time head tracking, and as I said, it has many different applications. And this one is another video. Let me also open it with VLC. Yeah, it's working now. So Matthias Kölsch was also a student of Matthew Turk, and this one is really in an outdoor environment. It shows how we can do real-time tracking of the hand even with fast hand movements. So the tracking position is shown by that circle, and even the hand's color is maybe similar to the building color in certain places. It keeps tracking the hand. And the idea in this paper, in their paper, was to actually track the hand with a flock of features, not just a couple of 4 or 5 features that you collect from the hand, but many features, a flock of features, like maybe 100 features that you keep tracking on the hand, and you use like a majority voting of those flock of features to make a decision. Even the hand is now in the background, it's not that clear, but still it's able to track the hand really accurately in real time. So certain trackers fail in certain environments. Look at this. This is an example of camshift. It's tracking the hand, but when the hand goes into the table, since the table's color is similar to the hand color, it just lost the hand. So this was their method, flocks of features. They, as I said, this picture shows, this video shows here how many features are used to track. Some of these features, they stayed on the this new table, for example, but the majority of them, they were able to keep track of them. So by using some kind of a majority voting scheme, they are able to accurately track the hand in real time in a very fast manner. Okay, so vision-based interfaces we have to develop these algorithms that are complicated, but will help then do tracking, and we may use these tracked hands in gesture-based applications or things that are similar to these. All right, I think that's it for the videos. That's enough for the videos. So I can person tracking. I mentioned that the whole body tracking can be used in outdoor environments. For example, there's one application of person tracking in parking lots, especially in parking lots, or for example, shopping malls. Certain activities could be detected. For example, when a person is trying to steal some other person's car, if some illegal activity is going on, processing these videos automatically instead of having a security guard watching all of the videos whole day, you can have a vision-based application which will be able to detect certain events automatically with the help of person tracking. So these examples that I show you, the head tracker and hand tracker, they are from Matthew Turk's research lab from UCSB. Their lab's name is Four Eyes Lab. The Four Eyes Lab is also like a pun, which is like this for imaging, interaction, and innovative interfaces. So they conduct face direction detection. I showed you in Roger's also video. Here are some example results. There's also facial expression analysis, whether a person is smiling, frustrated, angry, and by using a certain representation of the facial expression in some higher dimensional space, we see that different facial gestures actually follow a path, a higher dimensional curve. They can be represented as a higher dimensional curve in these spaces, and we may use these the positions on these curves to predict whether a person is smiling, laughing, angry, frustrated. So I mentioned the hand tracking demo. I show you this. There's also body gestures and activity could be tracked and recognized as well with computer vision-based interfaces. Okay, so this is from me for today. We have seen lots of examples, but as I said, this is a huge area by itself. Computer vision, all these techniques that are developed, but with these libraries available for public use, you are able to use them in your applications. And then every year in these conferences, new and better techniques are presented, which are now faster, more efficient, more accurate. And I think we'll see in a very near future that these computer vision-based interfaces will be part of our daily lives, just like we have speech recognition and speech synthesis. Okay, so for 2 weeks from now, your reading is this paper, Towards a Smart Control Room for Crisis Response Using Visual Perception of Users. It was here, and I will also put this on OttiClass, and I will post an announcement about that we're not going to have a class next week, and we will have the quiz 2 weeks from now. All right, I will stop recording now. That's it from me for today. See you all